For those that want the quick loadout on how to set up a Commando, Gunnery or Mercenary arsenal, here's the main abilities that you're going to be using. On the Gunnery side, it's Vortex Bolt, Boltstrom, Demolition Round, High Impact Bolt, Grav Round, Electronet and Hammer Shot. Mercenary arsenal is Priming Shot, Blazing Bolt, Heat Seeker Missiles, Rail Shot, Tracer Missile and Electronet and Rapid Shots. The rotation is as follows. On the Commando Gunnery, it's Supercharged Cell, Vortex Bolt, Boltstrom, Demolition Round, High Impact Bolt, Grav Round, Boltstrom, Grav Round. Your filler ability, which ideally would be Electronet first, then Grav Round, and then Hammer Shot. Hammer Shot you'll use when you're getting low on energy, and then followed by Grav Round as your final ability. On the Mercenary Arsenal side, Supercharged Gas, followed by Priming Shot, Blazing Bolts, Heat Seeker Missiles, Rail Shot, Tracer Missile, Blazing Bolts, Tracer Missile. Your filler ability is going to be Electronet if you have that available, either followed by Tracer Missile and then replace that with Rapid Shot if you gain too much heat, and then your final ability is Tracer Missile. You will have Supercharged Cell or Supercharged Gas available every second rotation. So if you follow this rotation setup, that should give it to you. The ability layout on your ability tree should look as follows. There are some exceptions. You can watch the rest of the video to get an idea of where you can make some changes. Today's video is going to be about the Commando Gunnery. We will cover the Imperial side as well. Just to go over it real quickly, our main abilities that we're going to be using is Vortex Bolt, Boltstrom, Demolition Round, High Impact Bolt, Grav Round, Electronet, and Hammer Shot is going to be a special case situation. The way that this rotation works is it's based off of our tactical primed ignition. Vortex Bolt causes its target to burn. Boltstrom, Demolition Round and Grav Round all take its damage. Grav Round will reset Boltstrom every 8 seconds. So we want to try and get in 2 rotations of Boltstrom per Vortex Bolt. Vortex Bolt's cooldown is 15 seconds. If we reset a Boltstrom every 8 seconds, that's a 16-second rotation. The reason why we want a cooldown of around 15 seconds is that the activation time based on the global cooldown helps us a little bit if Vortex Bolts just comes off cooldown. And then we do have some abilities that are instant cast, and they sometimes allow us to go a little bit faster than 16 seconds. If we look at the combat style, we need to take note of this armor piercing. We have an alacrity increase of 3% in there. Our choice on line 23 is going to be Gravitating Bolt. Line 27, Charged Barrier. Then line 39, we're going to do Gravitating Compound. Line 43, Overclock. There is a team benefit to using Supercharged Celerity, but since only one commando can really activate this with a benefit, make sure that not multiple people are taking this. There is a benefit to diversion. It plays a little bit better role in PvP, but take note that there are certain circumstances where that could help out. Line 51 is Reflective Shield. You could have some other options here. Line 64, Forced March. This allows our Boltstrom to be mobile. Line 68, Echo Deterrence is a great defense. We need to take note that Hold the Line is also a great utility. It prevents us from being knocked back. And since we're not a very fast class, we could benefit from being a little bit faster. It's not that massive of a difference in speed, but the big benefit is not being knocked back. Trauma Stabilizer. This turns our Reflective Shield into a big heal. So this is a great benefit. There is a PvP benefit to concussive force. Very rare that we see this as a benefit in PvE. And that should cover most of the effects that we need to look at. If we look at our alacrity, this number is not where you want to really focus too much on. You do need to get it high enough so that your alacrity number gets high enough to bring your vortex bolt down below 16 seconds. We do want to go a little bit lower than 16 seconds because of that activation time. We can activate an ability even though the global cooldown is still active before the global cooldown comes off. So we can click on that ability and it'll activate as soon as that global cooldown comes off. So we want to take note of that. Then the rotation goes as follows. We're going to do vortex bolt, boltstrom. We're going to have it go through its full rotation, demolition round, high impact bolt, grav round resets boltstrom. We can do boltstrom again. Now we have 3 fillers, with the third one has to be grav round. We can do electronet and then grav round again, and that resets us, and we can go back to vortex bolt, boltstrom, demolition round, high impact bolt, grav round, boltstrom. 3 grav rounds. Okay, so just to cover what's going on here, we can start our vortex bolt. Boltstrom will tick the dots off of that. Our 1 filler is demolition round, high impact bolt, and then the third filler should always be our grav round, which resets our boltstrom to go back there. It seems like demolition round and high impact bolt shouldn't be fillers, but since we're pivoting everything off of boltstrom, they do become like fillers. They nicely high damage fillers, so that's great. After we've done our second boltstrom in the rotation, we can go to anything with 3 abilities, the third one being grav round. Now you've noticed that boltstrom is getting reset a little bit faster, but when you queue these very fast, you're going to find that that boltstrom is only being reset on the 3rd grav round. We could spam grav round 3 times. We can put electronet in there, or we can put a hammer shot. And hammer shot is important because we do have our energy cells, and once our energy cells falls below 60%, we stop regenerating at full. See these 4 chevrons? They indicate how fast we regen our energy. And I can demonstrate this by just doing grav rounds, and watch the number of chevrons. Here, there, we're down to 3, so now we're in a losing situation. We cannot recover. We can use our energy charge and get everything back, but our inner recharge shells, that's only available 1.5 minutes roughly, so we want to be cautious about that. Next thing that we need to take note of is the supercharged velocity. This increases our alacrity, and we can have this during our supercharged shell. So our supercharged shell comes from the stacks of supercharge, and we can get supercharged shell, supercharged charges from regenerating. So that's one way of getting them. As you can see, we can do it with med shot, we can do it with hammer shot, and we can do it with grav round. We can also get a medical probe, will give us one. If we look at our implants, the first random charge package, damaging an enemy or healing an ally, has a 10% charge to generate a stack of supercharge, cannot occur more than once every 5 seconds. So in our 16-second rotation, we can rely on having this happen twice in the rotation. Concentrated fire package, activating supercharged shell makes our next high impact bolt, or Bacta infusion critically hit. So this is going to be a high impact bolt. So when we activate this, we can see we have our skill as well, concentrated fire. That's going to increase the damage of high impact. Since we get a benefit from whenever we hit our supercharged shell, when Boltstrom ticks, it gives us those high velocity rounds, which increases the alacrity. So our timing of our supercharged shell is going to be based off of priming all of this in the beginning of a rotation. So high impact bolt is going to benefit from supercharged shell. We're going to get benefits, stacks of alacrity for doing Boltstrom under supercharged shell. So this sequence really helps us out to time it in such a way that we start at the beginning of our rotation from a supercharged shell. Let's go through one rotation and see how long it takes us to get a supercharged shell back. Vortex bolt, Boltstrom, demolition round, high impact bolt, grav round, Boltstrom, grav round. Back to our rotation when we're at 7 stacks right now. So 10 stacks now. So every second rotation will give us a supercharged shell. That is going to be really nice. So every second rotation is going to buff this. Let's have a look at this buff that high impact bolt has. So if I do a grab round, you see that we have 1 charged barrel. There's 2 stacks of them. If we do a second grab round, we get another 2 stacks. So 4 stacks. And then a third one will give us a max of 5 stacks at this point. And there's this high impact bolt is now at max. We don't start off our rotation. If we start the fight with this stacks, I find that it's really difficult to weave in getting this at the beginning of a rotation, at the start of a fight, to have these 5 charges without impacting your DPS. But by the second rotation, it'll be buffed all at every rotation. So let's go through that mechanic. So if I do vortex bolt, Boltstrom, demolition round, high impact bolt. So now a grav round, Boltstrom. There's 2 charges there. I'm now going to do a grav round, electronet, grav round. There's the 5th one. Now we're back to the start of our rotation, and our high impact bolt is maxed. Demolition round, high impact bolt. There's 1 Boltstrom. There's 2 grav rounds, and I can do a hammer shot. There's 3 grav rounds, and I'm maxed out on my stacks here. And I could now do so that's our rotation. So after the second Boltstrom, I would like to weave in about 2 grav rounds. So I can, the third one having to be a grav round to reset Boltstrom. So that middle ability can be any of the other fillers that are possible, and that can be a utility filler. And it could also be 3 grav rounds. The only thing you need to pay attention to is that if we really are putting a really tight sequence, that we might lose enough energy cells. And that's where you could weave in a hammer shot, which doesn't use energy. And get so that would be a grav round, hammer shot, grav round. Or we could have a grav round, electronet, grav round. The electronet does a lot of damage, so it's nice to weave that in. The other possibilities is explosive round. Explosive round has a knockback effect on really weak enemies, so that could be handy. The other one is plasma grenade. Plasma grenade isn't a big damage ability. but it has an AoE effect, so that could be really handy to weave in if we have some adds out there and we still need to do a lot of damage to the target. Just keep in mind that if nobody else is doing damage to the adds, that you'll pick up some of those adds on you, and we'll get to the defensives in a bit. Mortar Volley is a long channel, 2.5 seconds. This is your another AoE attack, and Hail of Bolts is also an AoE attack. So going over the sequence again, we've got a Vortex, Boltstrom, Demolition Round, High Impact Bolt, Grav Round, Boltstrom. We then go to our second set of fillers, Grav Round, Electronet, Grav Round, and we restart Vortex Bolt, Boltstrom, Demolition Round, High Impact Bolt, Grav Round, Boltstrom. This time around I'm going to do 3 Grav Rounds. And I wanted you to see that on the second one I'm resetting Boltstrom. What is happening here is that if we are not very tight on our rotation, that the second Grav Round will reset Boltstrom. The pivot point is Boltstrom, but we cannot restart our sequence until Vortex Bolt is ready. And that is why it is in a fast rotation, it will only reset on the third Grav Round. Now watch this one. 1 Hammer Shot, Grav Round, and now I'm getting the reset. I'm going to set this up for a high speed rotation, and we can observe what's going to happen in this scenario. This is not going to involve any clicking, it's going to be me activating it with the keyboard. You see the Vortex Bolt wasn't available yet. So it's really important to let the Boltstrom run for as long as you can. One, 2, 3. We're back to our rotation. So sometimes when you're clicking, you might find that Boltstrom is becoming available after 2 Grav Rounds. But if you really are doing it as fast as you can, it's going to take 3. So let's have a look at this again. So High Impact Bolt. There, Boltstrom. 1, 2, 3. You see my energy cells going down. Now I can activate the recharge and get my energy back. So this is also a strategy to know about. If you have your recharge cells available, then it can be really helpful with looking at all of the other fillers, is to, on that second rotation, is to go to 3 Grav Rounds. The second phase of the rotation. And just, even if you're losing energy cells, have your recharge cells available. If you don't have your recharge cells available and you watch your energy coming down, then you want to do Grav Round, High Hammer Shot, Grav Round. So I also wanted to point out to you that if I bring this over and we look at our damage layout, we find that Boltstrom is one of our biggest damage dealer, followed by Grav Round. The Burning Vortex is also that's from the tactical. Then High Impact Bolt, Vortex Bolt is later down. So Vortex Bolt and Burning Bolt, Burning is, they tie together in their rotation. If we bring back to where we were actually doing damage, click on that, we see we were around 25,000 DPS on a dummy that wasn't debuffed. So let's look at a situation where we are debuffing a dummy. And if you want to know where you can get a training dummy from your on your ship, if you go to your legacy, other, and ship unlocks and get a training dummy, and then go to the droid and buy a training dummy armor reduction module. I'll explain what this does. If we look at the training dummy, it has a debuff when we apply this module, and it applies all of the debuffs that you would expect from an operation. If you had a dynamic group with all the different classes, this is all of the debuffs that it would put on a target. So if we look at this situation, the reason why we want to do this is that some classes don't have all of the debuffs in there, and it's not what you would expect in a real operation. Now, you can look at both numbers and just be prepared as to what you're going to see. And we're not going to see a major difference with the Gunnery, because they do have a lot of buffs, debuffs that they apply as they go through their rotation. So I'm going to start off, sometimes it's nice, you'll see a lot of people starting off with grav round. It's not essential, it is a nice feature, so I'm going to do my sequence starting with grav round and then start the rotation. So let's have a look at what this number looks like. At the 30,000 DPS range. And as the rotation goes on, we'll see less and less of this. The number will drop down to a lower value. As you can see, I'm going heavy on the grab round right now because I do have that recharge available. My energy cells is going down lower. I'm now below 60 on the energy cells, so I'm going to activate that recharge. And since I don't have it available now, I need to be very careful around. So I'm holding around 26,500 DPS. So I'm going to still do the 3 grav rounds, and I'm going to watch my energy cells. I'm getting a little bit low, so on the next rotation I'm going to weave in a hammer shot. And that got me a little bit up there, so I can go back to my 3 grav round. And this is just where you're going to balance your energy cells until you see that recharge cell. I should be good, it's 30 seconds away. So now I can hold my grav rounds. Yes, I can be aggressive again. recharge again. I'm holding around 26.3, so sometimes it goes a little bit higher with crit. And I'll do one more rotation and we'll stop it there and then look at the breakdown. That's about where we'll stop. So, Boltstrom being our big DPS, Grav Round being second, burning from Vortex Bolt, which is the tactical. High Impact Bolt, we can see we have some really nice numbers in there. When we crit high. The Demolition Round, also nice when it does crit. So, we have a really nice setup here. If we go a little bit in from here, just to see what we actually were doing in the combat, because that trailing DPS is not going to be quite representative. So we're around 26,000. We were doing about 25,000 before we did the debuff. So you're expecting to get around 25 to 26,000 if you follow this rotation. Let's look at the Mercenary and see what the layout looks like on that side. So we're here on the Mercenary side. Let's quickly review the abilities that match. So Priming Shot is the Vortex Bolt. Blazing Bolt is Boltstrom. Heat-Seeking Missiles is Demolition Round. Rail Shot is our High Impact Bolt. Tracer Missile is our Grav Round. Electronet is Electronet. Instead of Hammer Shot, we have Rapid Shots. Supercharged Gas. And we'll have a look at what this sequence looks like. It's exactly the same, and we can look at if we can get the same numbers. So I'm going to start off with our Tracer Missile. Heat-Seeking Missile, Rail Shot, Tracer Missile, Blazing Bolts, Tracer Electronet, and we're about the same vicinity. So, before we go any further, we want to take note that this time we're gaining heat instead of losing energy cells. So this bar is just reversed. Vent Heat is going to be our ability that allows us to bring this value down again. So we want to look at where this chevrons, where we lose these chevrons over here. And it should be around 40%. There we go. So around 40% we're just going to keep gaining heat. And we would want to use a Vent Heat. And Vent Heat is based off of abilities being used. So as you're using an ability, it will dump that heat. Then let's look at our combat style. So this time around, it's the same selection, it's just in different places. So line 23 is Signature Shot. 27 is Power Barrier. 39 is Tracing Residue. 43 is Power Overrides. 51 is Energy Rebounder. Blazing Bolts. And then 64 is Thrill of the Hunt. 68 is Responsive Safeguards. And Trauma Regulators for 73. I want to cover some other mobility stuff. We have Tech Override or Power Surge is our one ability that we picked. We did give it some extra stacks here with power overrides. And what this does is, if we look at our mobility, we can activate these abilities in our main rotation while staying mobile, which makes us really nice and mobile. Tracer missile is when it's glowing, but now when we come to tracer missile without it glowing, we can't activate it, we have to stand still. Electronate we can use, and hammer shot we can use, or rapid shots. The ability, the power surge, the only ability that we need to stand for is tracer missile when it's not glowing. And so if we use power surge, we actually have 2 stacks. This will make any activating ability have an instant cast. So if we're really in a pinch, we really have to keep our damage going. If we watch our rotation, our first part of our rotation has a glowing tracer missile, and now we can go to power override, tracer missile, hammer shot, tracer missile, and we back to a rotation, and the whole time we were mobile. And now we have to stand still. Now if we keep in mind that our rotation is about 15 to 16 second rotation, this sets us up for that rotation to be available almost every 3rd rotation, maybe every 2nd rotation if we have to do some other actions. But every 3rd rotation we have a power surge available, so it becomes really, really powerful and keeping us very mobile. So if we're strategic about this, we can really be active. The other mobility that we have is called rocket out, or we can look at the other side. This is our mobility to move around. It's really handy, but you have to be very cautious because you're going backwards. And you can rocket out yourself off of a platform real easy. Echo deterrence or responsive safeguards is our one big defensives, and then energy shield or reflective shield is our other big one. With the energy shield having, if we have a look at our ability tree, we may turn our energy shield into a big heal, and we also reduced the, let me just find it, yes. So with this selection at line 51, our energy shield is reduced its cooldown by 3 seconds every 1.5 seconds if we take damage. So we want to be strategic with how we select our defensives. If we use energy shield first and we're still taking damage, then we start ticking its cooldown, which is a 2-minute cooldown, down to 1 minute. So this should be your first defensive that you activate. And then if you still need more, use your responsive safeguard or echo deterrence. That will buy you more time while your energy shield ticks down. You should always have an adrenal shield. I rarely use a critical adrenal because the benefits of the adrenal shield combined with something like Coulter overload really gives us a 3rd defensive if we tie these 2 together. And that can sometimes bridge us far enough to get back to this. The other thing that we can look at is if we're doing damage. So as we're using our tracer missiles, we build these stacks of power barrier. And that's a damage reduction that we get from line 27. And it reduces our damage. It's a damage reduction of 2% per stack. And we can stack up to 3 times. And since our rotation has so many tracer missiles or grav rounds in it, we are going to maintain these stacks. And that becomes a great defensive all on its own. So we're very tanky, we're very survivable, and quite often if you see a good Commando or Mercenary playing, they'll be the last one standing in a group that's being wiped in an operation. We have some other heals. Emergency scan that I have up here is a great heal that's an instant cast, and we can be mobile while using that. Our rapid scan is a great heal as well. The problem is that we have to be stationary for this. Colto shot is nice. We can build up stacks of supercharge. We do want to pay attention to this. If you're ever going to be in a fight where you're waiting for the fight to continue, there's some shield up and you can't do anything, start using your Colto shot or Mage shot to build up your stacks of supercharge. That way you're ready with a supercharged gas or supercharged cells the moment the fight continues. You can also, if we look at it, use your rapid scan, and so if you do need to heal up, you can build up stacks, and you can mix in some Colto shots. Just watch your rapids for your heat. If you do too many of these, you will build up a lot of heat. The other benefit of rapid scan is it does build up your stacks of power barrier. Okay, that should cover everything of the Mercenary. I'm going to end this with an attempt at seeing if I can get the same DPS numbers I did on my Commando. Okay, I was holding up at there at 27. Looks like that was quite sustainable. I do want to point out a little nuance between the Mercenary and the Commando. So if we look here, our accuracy shows at 110%. If we look at this accuracy number, it shows our basic accuracy is 0% plus 10%, special attacks is 100% plus 10%, secondary weapon is 100% plus 10%. Well, one of our weapons doesn't get the boost of this 10%. So if we look at our attacks, we should be on an operation dummy. Every hit should hit because we're over 10%. And the defense chance of a boss is about 10%, so we should be on a match. But if we look at blazing bolts, so everything hit that time around, but all of our white damage, you'll see once in a while a dodge in there. So we just keep looking at this. There's a miss. There's a dodge, dodge. Dodge. There's a miss. So we don't always get all of them, but we should pay attention. We got from the Boltstrom on the Commando side, we were getting 4 ticks guaranteed on blazing bolts. So let's look. This 3. So that was way more than 4 ticks. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are ticks that priming shot, that vortex burn from our primed ignition will tick on. So mercenaries will have a default a little bit more ticks than commandos, and that's why you can see them edge out on the DPS side a little bit more. It's minor because that second weapon is missing a little bit. Well, one of your weapons is missing once in a while, but on average it's going to tick a little bit more because you do have a other weapon. So if we look at the layout here, we see that our DPS is still in the same order. Blazing bolts doing the top damage, tracer missile, and then the burning from priming shot. So the sequence still looks the same. We'll just see that we do have some more misses now on the blazing bolts as well as the rail shot. This is due to the accuracy on that one weapon that you have. Some of them are going to miss now because there's an extra tick that's not happening. So it washes out to be about the same amount of DPS, but you just need to be aware that there is a little bit of a nuance. So if you see these misses, you can see where they are coming from. We'll end the video here. I hope this was helpful.